When we delve into the dusty pages of history, we constantly encounter extraordinary information that surprises us and forms pieces of the puzzle for great ancient civilizations. Unconventional facts such as celestial vehicles known as vimanas, ancient weapons with the power to destroy entire cities, gateways allowing travel to unknown realms, and more consistently emerge. However, one of these is particularly relevant to our future. Why, you may ask? Because if the claims are true, it implies that a similar fate of destruction awaits our civilization in the future, just as it did for those that came before us. Welcome to the Spacey Sagas channel. When the investigative writer Zecharia Sitchin penned his book titled The 12th Planet, he gave rise to certain terms that have become familiar in today's popular culture. One of these terms is Nibiru, which I discussed in detail this video. In Sitchin's book, he claims that Nibiru is the home planet of god-like beings known as the Anunnaki. According to his assertions, these Anunnaki came to Earth to mine gold and repair the weakened atmosphere of their own planet. While Sitchin's books are indeed enjoyable to read, as I mentioned in my videos, there is a significant issue at hand. Sitchin often takes historical data and combines it with his own interpretations, presenting us with narratives that include elements like the celestial lineage of kings, the Anunnaki, and Nibiru. He weaves these tales using cross-referenced information and substantial personalizations. While the books are pleasurable to read, it's crucial to note that somehow these stories are being conveyed as if they are documented in Sumerian tablets unearthed in excavations. This has led people to seriously question and believe in these narratives. All right, the Anunnaki truth is indeed present in the tablets, but not in such specific and detailed terms. This is entirely a product of the author's imagination and his own interpretations. Please keep this in mind as you conduct your research. Now, is the Nibiru incident solely a creation of Sitchin's imagination? This question will once again take us on a journey through time, as the answers can be found in the ancient lands of Mesopotamia. However, this time our journey will be assisted by contemporary astronomy. Let's embark on our journey. In the year 1840, archaeologists led by Austin Henry discovered the great library of the Assyrian king Ashurbanipal, dating back to the 7th century BCE, during excavations in the ancient city of Nineveh. Within this treasure trove of ancient knowledge comprised of thousands of clay tablets, one holds particular significance: the Enuma Elish epic. Though its origins are believed to trace back to the 2nd millennium BCE, the exact time of its emergence remains uncertain. Enuma Elish, translating to when on high, is a profound symbolic narrative found in the tablets, covering topics from the creation of humanity to the formation of the heavens and the celestial gods' cosmic battle. When you read the Enuma Elish, the celestial creation and the wars of the gods section, it might initially come across as a highly embellished Greek mythology story. However, as science and technology advanced, some researchers began to ask the question, what if this symbolic narrative is not a fantastical tale but actually recounts certain celestial events that took place? This approach has truly changed many perspectives, because if those researchers asking this question are correct, then the Enuma Elish provides insight into how the solar system formed approximately 5 billion years ago. Enuma Elish is an extraordinary epic and source of knowledge written by the Babylonians based on ancient Sumerian beliefs. The symbolism, evolving over time, transformed into the Babylonian style, with the Babylonian god Marduk, the son of Enki for those who recall, Enki being a central figure in Sumerian mythology, taking center stage in the narrative. However, some researchers point out a significant discrepancy. Despite Marduk being born much later in the Sumerian pantheon compared to major deities like Enlil and Enki, Enuma Elish portrays Marduk as if he were an ancient primordial god. Understanding the reason behind this isn't challenging after all. It's natural for the primary god of Babylon to be emphasized. Nevertheless, this deviation from the chronological order of Sumerian gods raises questions about the consistency of the story with the broader Sumerian deity timeline. What if this epic isn't conveying Sumerian myths but is actually narrating astronomy? In that case, some pieces might seem to fall into place for some. This is not an entirely illogical approach, considering many ancient cultures consistently associated planets with gods. For example, Mars took its name from the Roman god of war, and Mercury derived its name from a god considered the messenger of the gods. Now, let's delve into this epic from the perspective of both this interpretation and astronomy. The title of the epic, Enuma Elish, can be translated as When on High with Apsu above and Tiamat below, the yet unnamed and unformed. Initially, only Apsu existed, and from him, Tiamat and Mummu were born when the waters were undivided, devoid of meadows and reeds, and their names and fates were yet undefined. Let's consider Mummu as Mercury and envision Tiamat as a much larger super-Earth based on the characteristics described in the epic. We'll explore the scientific support for these assumptions shortly. The epic then describes the later births of Lahmu and Lahamu, followed by Anshar and Kishar. Despite being born later, Anshar and Kishar, portrayed as the parents, grew much larger than Lahmu and Lahamu. Now, if we look at it scientifically, models of the formation of our solar system generally indicate that rocky planets begin to form first, closer to the Sun. Subsequently, beyond the snow line, the region where icy bodies can form the gas giants, much larger in size, takes shape. Drawing on this information, it is theorized that Lahamu and Lahamu could represent Venus and Mars, formed after Mercury. Following them, Anshar and Kisar, portrayed as larger, could correspond to Jupiter and Saturn. Some of you might be wondering about the firstborn giant Tiamat. Here's where it gets interesting. The giants become planets with their satellites, and Apsu, representing the sun balancing this chaos, is mentioned. This is a crucial detail because in 2015, there emerged a theory about the existence of a superplanet in the region known as the Kuiper Belt, precisely at the snow line that separates the inner and outer planets. This superplanet, theorized to have formed early in the solar system's history, could potentially answer questions about the solar system's formation. Computational models conducted in 2015 simulated the 4.6 billion-year history of our solar system, generating valuable data. As our solar system, initially highly chaotic, gradually saw the formation of gas giants, the Great Tack hypothesis explains the uneven movements of these giants both inward and outward, leading to the system's cleaning process over time. Trillions of various-sized objects, including asteroids or large fragments that couldn't become planets, were either swallowed by these giants or ejected towards the Oort cloud or Kuiper belt outside the system. However, there was a simulation issue. The reason why gas giants would approach the Sun and later move outward wasn't fully explained. Yet, the 2015 simulation I mentioned earlier provides an answer. For the gravitational interaction between Jupiter and Saturn, and specifically for the movement initiated by Jupiter, there needed to be a super-Earth between Mars and Jupiter, essentially within today's asteroid belt. This hypothetical super-Earth would create gravitational forces drawing and pushing the giants. Unfortunately, this intriguing tale scientifically often concludes with a massive disruption. Now recall Enuma Elish, where the gas giants Anshar, Kishar and others approach Tiamat in the Celestial Council, causing her irritation. Can you sense a bit of enlightenment? But wait, the story is just beginning. To keep things brisk and not overwhelm you, I'll provide a quick overview of the main theme. For those interested in in-depth research, I'll leave you to explore various translations of enigmatic and the scientific articles mentioned earlier. In the epic, Tiamat is portrayed as immensely powerful, surpassing other gods, making her a formidable presence. Those who attempt to confront or appease her find it challenging to stay in her presence, as her overwhelming strength pushes them away. In the chaos of this period, a character emerges as the savior of the outer planet gods, the renowned god Marduk. He possesses the strength to rival Tiamat. From our perspective, Marduk could be considered a giant planet in the narrative. The epic describes Marduk as equipping himself with 4 weapons he already possessed and acquiring 3 more from other gods before facing Tiamat in battle. This is where gravitational mechanics come into play. Massive planets can potentially steal satellites from other planets as they pass through their orbits, a known phenomenon. So, in this context, interpreting Marduk already having 4 moons and acquiring 3 more on his journey as him capturing satellites from planets along his path becomes plausible. So, how did Marduk suddenly enter the scene without any mention of its birth or growth, unlike the other planets described in the epic? If you pay attention, when discussing other planets, details about their births, growth and sizes are provided. However, when it comes to Marduk, the giant planet or the powerful god in the story, it just appears without explanation. Zecharia Sitchin, interpreting the epic in his book The 12th Planet, suggests that Marduk corresponds to a planet he names Nibiru. According to Sitchin, Nibiru has a much larger orbit than other planets, and its development occurred somewhat unnoticed, completing away from prying eyes. It only became involved in the narrative when its orbit brought it closer to the Sun. Now, can this interpretation hold scientific merit? Let's support the discussion with some scientific data. In the early 19th century, the discovery of Uranus led mathematicians and astrophysicists like Urbain Le Verrier and John Couch Adams to observe anomalies in its orbit. Despite limited technology at the time, these researchers mathematically deduced that the anomalies could be explained by the presence of another planet beyond Uranus, and years later, Neptune was discovered, confirming their mathematical predictions. As I mentioned before, there is a universal language in creation, and that is mathematics. Keep that in mind. Let's return to the narrative after establishing this connection with scientific data. A similar calculation was made in the early 1900s by Percival Lowell, a renowned astronomer and founder of Lowell Observatory. Lowell conducted extensive research for years, claiming that the orbital anomalies of Uranus and Neptune were caused by a larger mass beyond Neptune. Due to the mystery surrounding this celestial mass, Lowell named it Planet X, and in some sources today, it is referred to as Planet 9. Despite these claims, the discovery of Pluto in subsequent years revealed that its mass was not sufficient to cause the observed orbital perturbations. The reason for these anomalies in the outer planet's orbits, the structure of the Oort cloud, and the orbit of Halley's comet is still under investigation. Yes, somewhere out there is a force influencing the orbits of outer planets, the structure of the Oort cloud, and the trajectory of Halley's comet. However, we still don't precisely know what it is. So, while science gives a nod to some aspects of Enuma Elish, we can't affirm its accuracy definitively. Nonetheless, the epic continues to surprise us. Returning to the epic, as mentioned earlier, Marduk armed himself and moved towards Tiamat. This movement would ultimately bring about an unimaginable catastrophe. Marduk, the wisest of the gods, and Tiamat approached each other, pressed against one another, and engaged in a one-on-one battle. They came close for a direct duel, and Marduk shot an arrow, tearing through Tiamat. Tiamat fell to the ground, lifeless, and Marduk stood triumphantly over her. After killing Tiamat, Marduk dispersed her gang, and her army scattered. The battle I briefly described is actually depicted in much greater detail. The artist portrays that after Marduk's victory, Tiamat was shattered. In the subsequent attack, Marduk split Tiamat's lifeless body into two parts, using one to create the earth and the other for the sky. The symbolism here refers to the earth as a planet because humanity is created on this piece after the events. It might sound like a fantastical narrative, doesn't it? However, the scientific reality behind this event is quite striking. In 2005, astronomers in the city of Nice, France, developed detailed models and theories about the early stages of the solar system. One key aspect of this model, directly related to our topic, is the concept of late heavy bombardment. According to this information, our solar system underwent a chaotic period about 3.8 to 4.1 billion years ago, after the major planets had already formed. During this time, almost all planets and moons in the system were bombarded violently by meteor showers, some of them massive craters on the surfaces of Mercury, Mars, and even the Moon are remnants from this chaotic era. Expanding further, we encounter an event known as the Theia impact. During this period, Earth experienced a collision with a planetary celestial body estimated to be the size of Mars. It is hypothesized that this collision occurred when Earth was relatively young, causing it to adopt its current tilted axis. This theory also aims to explain how Earth's oceans could be older than the planet itself. Additionally, this hypothesis addresses the presence of the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Two main theories about the formation of this asteroid belt exist today. The first suggests that debris left over from the system's initial formation got trapped in this region. The second proposes that there was once a planet in that area which fragmented during a past catastrophic event, contributing to both the late heavy bombardment and the formation of the remaining asteroid belt. If we connect the dots, these scientific findings align quite well with the theories discussed throughout the video. Both the late heavy bombardment era and the formation of the asteroid belt, along with Theia's collision, provide compelling evidence that a colossal planetary catastrophe might have occurred, echoing the epic's narrative. Particularly intriguing is the notion of Tiamat, depicted in mythology as the water goddess, being shattered to form Earth, where humanity was subsequently created. Now, a small dilemma arises. Can a myth, written thousands of years ago, intricately detailing the creation of humans by celestial beings, align so well with scientific events that even today's technology struggles to fully comprehend? Indeed, it adds an extra layer of fascination. The concept of the god's celestial abode, often depicted as the god's mountain or the god's realm in mythology, might actually be pointing to a location in space. This concept, known as the celestial abode of the gods, is an ancient idea that has persisted throughout human history, still prevalent in today's monotheistic religions. In Sumerian culture, the Anunnaki are described as beings coming from the heavens. In Hindu belief, gods reside in higher celestial realms like Vaikuntha or Brahmaloka. Ancient Egypt depicts the afterlife, known as Duat, as the realm of the gods. In Greek mythology, the gods dwell on Mount Olympus. Similarly, in monotheistic religions, various figures like Enoch, Ezekiel, and Jesus are said to have ascended to celestial realms. The concept of a divine abode or dimension beyond the earthly realm appears repeatedly throughout history. In Sumerian texts, the Anunnaki are associated with the heavens in Hinduism. Gods live in higher dimensions like Vaikuntha or Brahmaloka. Ancient Egypt portrays the afterlife, known as Duat, as the god's realm. In Greek mythology, gods reside on Mount Olympus. Monotheistic religions also describe figures ascending to heavenly realms. In Islam, the Prophet Muhammad is said to have ascended to the heavens on a winged steed during the Mirage, while in Christianity, Enoch, Ezekiel, and Jesus have similar experiences. This motif is not limited to myths. Ancient civilizations explicitly indicated certain points in the sky. For example, Egyptian pyramids align with the Orion belt, with shafts in the king's chamber oriented towards the rising Sirius star. Mexican Teotihuacan pyramids align with Orion, and Chinese Xi'an pyramids align with the same constellation. The Dogon people claim to originate from the Sirius star system, a fact that aligns with modern astronomy's discovery that Sirius is a binary star system. Indeed, the myth of the origin from the wolf also has its roots in this concept, as Sirius is often associated with a large wolf in mythology. In summary, various cultures have embraced the idea of a divine realm in the heavens, often linking it to the Orion constellation and especially Sirius. This theme is reflected in the Quran's Star and Najm chapter, which begins with an oath by Sirius, emphasizing that Allah is the creator of beings inhabiting that realm. While some verses in the Quran, including those in the Star chapter, provide unique information, the video's main focus is on the alleged connection of these celestial concepts to Nibiru. Zechariah Sitchin insists that Nibiru is a planet and the home of the Anunnaki, as mentioned in Sumerian myths. However, it's essential to note that Sitchin's claims are his own, and not universally accepted. In Sumerian texts, the term Nibiru doesn't explicitly refer to a planet, rather, it is associated with Marduk, a celestial body. If we approach this scientifically, considering the vast distance Sitchin suggests for Nibiru's orbit, the possibility of any life, especially technologically advanced beings, is highly improbable. It's crucial to distinguish between mythological interpretations and scientific evidence, and Sitchin's assertion of Nibiru as a distant planet inhabited by advanced beings remains speculative. In our solar system, the region beyond Mars and the habitable zone is incredibly cold due to the diminishing strength of sunlight over distance. For instance, in Jupiter's upper atmosphere, the temperature is -15 degrees, but as you delve deeper into the planet, the friction and pressure cause the temperature to rise to thousands of degrees. However, this phenomenon doesn't apply to rocky planets unless there's an extraordinarily thick atmosphere, which implies unimaginable pressure, making the existence of life nearly impossible. Even if there were a real Marduk-like planet, scientifically, the chances of life emerging, let alone evolving into an advanced civilization, seem highly improbable. So, does this render the entire concept of Nibiru as the abode of gods invalid? Not necessarily. Sitchin's assumption, even if proven wrong, doesn't dismiss the entire topic. Nibiru, in Sitchin's interpretation, refers to a celestial point or gateway in the sky. Historians haven't conclusively determined what it signifies, but the prevailing belief is that it denotes a passage or a specific celestial point. Now, if we reconsider Nibiru in this context as a celestial gateway or point, things take a peculiar turn. This interpretation aligns with ancient beliefs and the notion of a portal found in various religious texts. Enoch's fiery door, Islam's Sidrat al-Muntaha as the ultimate limit, or Norse mythology's Bifrost, an illuminated bridge connecting realms, all bear resemblance to the concept hinted at by the term Nibiru. Enuma Elish is, therefore, an exceptionally intriguing epic. If, someday, tablets older than it but expressing the same information more explicitly are discovered, which is highly likely, and if it's indeed proven that the epic narrates the formation of the planets, then the entire history will need to be rewritten. Imagine ancient civilizations from thousands of years ago possessing knowledge about the formation of the solar system. This presents us with two extraordinary possible outcomes: either ancient civilizations were incredibly advanced, or someone truly descended from the heavens and bestowed this knowledge upon them. In summary, thanks to Zecharia Sitchin and his popularized books, everyone now associates Nibiru with the celestial object fabled, referred to as Planet X. However, as mentioned earlier, Nibiru isn't actually used in epics to describe a planet. Sitchin's designated planet appears in the epic as Marduk. Marduk, or Planet X as labelled by science, is a celestial body with a high probability of existence based on both mathematical models and the formation models of the solar system. Regarding another misconception Sitchin propagated, it's about the claim that this planet comes close to Earth every 3,600 years. There is no historical record supporting this, and considering the observational prowess of ancient cultures, if such a significant event occurred, they would have documented it. Beyond documentation, the idea of a planet many times larger than Earth entering our solar system implies catastrophic events akin to those described in the enigmatic massive earthquakes, asteroid impacts, orbital disruptions, among many others. The absence of any historical record further challenges the validity of Sitchin's assertions. However, there is no information suggesting that these events occurred in the last 3,600 years. Yes, both the construction styles of ancient structures and the information in ancient myths and cultures' religious teachings indicate that ancient people encouraged us to look up to a certain point, often represented by the Sirius star. Is that place truly where extraterrestrials, called gods by ancient cultures, lived? Or is it just a star that drew attention due to its brightness? Or could it be the place referred to as the highest divine celestial realm in the mythology of certain religions? Answering these questions conclusively is unfortunately not possible at the moment. Perhaps someday we will send a message to this star system 8.6 light-years away and say hello. Maybe those who reside there, whoever they may be, will visit us again, just like ancient civilizations predicted. We'll live to see the outcome. Regardless of the result, let's hope that the enigmatic epic tells a completely different story, and let's hope the claims of individuals like Zecharia Sitchin are entirely false. Because if such a large planet with a retrograde orbit truly exists and is set to re-enter our solar system someday, then we are in serious trouble. Thank you all for watching the video. If you enjoyed the content, please subscribe to the channel, like and share the videos. Supporting the channel in this way is the greatest help you can provide. Feel free to suggest topics you'd like to see on the channel in the comments. Until the next video, take care,